yet to choose what he's going to play. Otherwise, the civilization seem to be 4 champion Jews and Torgelis Mongoloid as Vulki playing Kronos. Interesting indeed. Omega X Blast as Zeus, that's normal. And more champion as Oranos as well. I don't exactly remember if Vulki has been playing Kronos in the previous attempts also. I think he might have been Oranos, but I'm not fully positive on it if I remember this correctly. Not really sure. Otherwise, for the opponents, we are seeing Miracle Man as Kronos as a switch from Oranos. Yeah, Kronos is not half bad on water maps, of course, because of the deconstruction, and also on a type of map like this, where you can usually transport your buildings and such behind enemy lines, and you don't have underworld passage and such, which is of course going to be played by Omega X Blast, and you can see that Thomas Shelby is sticking, Poseidon. That's weird. I'll be thinking that maybe Zeus would be making a whole lot more sense on this map because, of course, of the underworld passage, and you can see Miracle Man switching into Gaia as well. Really interesting gods. For Samlets, Loki, Poseidon, Gaia, and for the opponents, Champion Zeus, we are seeing Kronos, Oranos, and the last one. Where are you? Where are you? Zeus in the middle, of course. Not really sure what to expect at all. We are seeing right now basically the normal spawn on the the spawn that we are used to from RTS League. As usually this is the kind of spawn with the water on the right that happens in the clan wars. But in this tournament so far, in the 2 spawns that we have seen this map played by the champion Juice, it was actually the other way around with the water on the left. So it was highly unusual. But we are back to a bit more normal situation as we are looking at more champion going for a bit of scouting behind his back TC and looking if there's some, I don't know, gold or maybe even extra hunt for him. Well, he has already discovered hunt, of course, right next to his front tower, as he's also having berries in there, and moving quite far away into the forefront, as he's going to be right next to Thomas Shelby, even though he is a pocket player, more champion. Whereas Omega X Blast is going to be just now arriving in there, which means that Thomas Shelby is going to be, of course, disrupting basically the shoreline of their opponents, and oh well, bit of a willy fighting, and this is definitely a pretty great choice because these villages have that was probably from some wolf or from the polar bear, and this is a very nice reaction, a very nice reaction from Omega X Blast, trying to make advantage. Again, she finished. She almost finished, 51 hit points, and the shockwave from more champion. Oh man, I think that was crucial because even though Omega X Blast would be killing the villager, I'm not sure if he would be fast enough, but this is well played. And of course, this will mean that Thomas Shelby will be without any kind of release and such. But no, he's too late. He's 4 seconds too late. 90 seconds. I was just looking at it. That would be definitely a reason for it. But no. Aim for him. But he is unfortunately too late. Yeah, well, 90 seconds. 90 seconds. I'm just going to be messaging them, but probably going to be asking about it. So I need to go out of the room. Our champion should be a bit more fair and not really lying to them. I'm just going to message more, or rather, your OP. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun when More actually loses again. Uh-huh. This is going to be something. Okay, here OP has just now learned what is the truth, so they are going to be continuing. And of course, Thomas Shelby is totally screwed, because even if he were to finish with this dog, he would be out of any fishies because it's going to be already taken by both More Champion and his teammate Omega X Blast, so it kind of doesn't make sense even to finish with this all that much. You should be just going for either the dock at the top or basically just switching to land build order, which I think is the best choice, not really going for water at all for the economy. So I don't really agree that this is the correct choice from him. It's just a bit of not knowing what to do, but I'm fully certain that going full land right now would be a much better choice, especially since he's Poseidon, so he does have a pretty good option for the extra hand without needing to go somewhere else and spending more extra wood on the granary, so he should be pretty much fine if he doesn't somehow screw the situation up. Right now, what's up with this villager? Not sure. He's going to be, of course, missing in the upgrade in the upgrade time, so I'm fully expecting he's going to be like maybe even half minute late, at least. As you have seen the construction, of course, on Thomas Shelby. And yep, this is yet another reason why it was a pretty terrible idea from Thomas Shelby to be sending another villager in there, and that was really nicely played from Champion Juice and severely underestimated by Thomas Shelby, and he basically didn't know how to react to the situation, and unfortunately for him, he did all the wrong things. So this is going to backfire quite strongly. Not exactly sure if he's going to be able to somehow convincingly come back from this, but looking at the amount of hunt right next to his base, he doesn't even need to rely on the berries. He should be reasonably fine, especially yet again because he does have the lure. So that was quite eventful fight for the water in here. So of course pretty big problems, as I would be expected that some lads won't be fighting for the water all that much now. And we are also seeing Temple by Omega X Blast at a very interesting spot, with the second dock already being finished, and probably hoping that he can delete the docks of his opponents from the land sooner rather than later, as we are also looking at Miracle Man dropping a Temple with his Gaia. So looking like that your OP is right now also being given some extra food, rather wood, from Miracle Man. As we should be expecting somebody to advance about now, because we are already at pretty decent timing, at almost 4 minutes. Thomas should be just now finishing with the temple, of course, and that means that we are exactly seeing what we were expecting to be happening. Some relic, which is for cheaper secrets of the Titans. Not how bad, that could definitely be seen use on this map. And check in for the upgrades, 36% into Prometheus from more champion, and from the Chronos, also 30% into Prometheus. So they are advancing quite fast, as opposed to their opponents who are just now coming into Force City, and Miracle Man still not going for anything, which is very interesting, as we are already at 4 minutes. And I'm right now going to be looking if he's maybe sending resources. Well, not really. More champion was sending a bit. Wookie as well. Not really sure what could be the reason for that. Like, really no idea. Thomas shall be advancing at basically... He's going to be in like 520, which is not bad, but still, the water should be pretty much lost, and I don't expect that some lads will be fighting for it all that much. You can see so far that they aren't, and probably will be intent on somehow switching the battle into a bit of a more of it on land. I recommend right now scouting right next to our champion's base, and to see if maybe there's something to kill for him, as we are going to be checking on some other relics. Oh, cheaper RTS-Troll Centaurs, not bad. And Pegasus respawn, also pretty great, and relic at the top is for what? For Scout Unit LOS, and Omega X Blast going through Athena, which might actually not be all that greatest choice, because of course on the water restoration would be great, but right now there's not going to be any fight for them to be had, and that means that might not really be all that important god power, and ceasefire might have been a lot more useful, especially with stealing back TCs and such. On a map like this, as you can see, they are finishing with the water. Absolutely no attempt by Samless to go for it, quite obviously, and they are in the meantime going for the back TC hero OP, and we should be expecting second TCs, of course, from Thomas Shelby in the front as well, as he needs to somehow secure himself sooner rather than later, as he will be the first in line of fire, and shouldn't be really forgetting and some kind of wall in the middle, because of course without walls they are going to be wide open to aggression from their opponents, because this is not going to be stopping just now. It's probably going to be arriving in some economy, for example right here, where hero OP is already building some longhouses for some land aggression. Well, might be just enough to make their life a bit more difficult than they would have hoped for. In the meantime, since they have lost the water, of course, this means that this TC in water range is going to be quite difficult to hold for them, as we are looking a bit of a scouting expedition by Miracle Man for the fishies, and basically trying to see what's there in the deep waters. But well, the back TC here potentially also in danger, but yet again, since they are in power of the water, and Wookie seems to be going for it exactly now, it's probably not going to be as problematic as the one for the opponents, some lads. Right now, we are looking at military barracks from more champion, as they basically recognize that there's not going to be any kind of fight to be had on the water, and they are going to be free to use the bounties of the waters, but I'm looking at the TC, as that would be slightly better investment, I'm thinking, for more champion, because they should be realizing that their opponents are going to be also kinda booming, maybe raiding a bit, but looking at what's the score, they are seeing the second TC, so it could be slightly better for them to actually concentrate on economy as well, but so far they aren't. So let's check, for example, what's gonna happen. Looking like back TC, for Thomas Shelby and upgrades hand axe, pickaxe, not bad, and definitely will be helping him with the echo. Also pretty much the same for the yellow player. And how's it looking for blue? Also both of them, not any kind of hunting dogs. As he's a bit of fun with the Minotaur, and otherwise he's going to be finishing with those without any kind of problem, because of course he's stronger, and if he is going to be paying enough attention, which he seems to be, as opposed to more, you can see Wookie just now scouting here, trying to get some hit in. He's not successful, and more champion is going to be losing absolutely everything here, quite needlessly. Yeah, this one guy, Wolfsark Admirer, unfortunately, also coming into the wrong spot, but that's pretty much it. Well, we are already seeing a bit of fun at the bottom, as Carnivore has been killed. There you the Bolt, as it was right now, attempting to kill the TC from Omega X Blast, who is going for a second. But an interesting second, and I don't exactly understand this choice from him. Because of course, he should be going for the TC at the top. Right now, it seems to be like more champion is gonna go for it. But with the army right now coming from Miracle Man, I don't expect it's going to be all that great of a choice. The village is gonna have that, and the army is not really sufficient at all. And since they don't have the ceasefire, that's right now only for Thomas Shelby, they have the restoration, which is kinda useless now. Of course, pretty big problems for champion, as he's not gonna be ending with the second TC, and why I was saying that he should be aiming for the TC first before the military buildings, because of course, if he already started like the minute earlier, he could have already had the TC up. But yeah, he doesn't, and that means that there's going to be a pretty good chance for Samlets to make something happen with this game. So let's see about that. Yellow army growing in numbers, as we are also seeing that Red is basically setting himself up right in the middle of his teammate's base. He of course finished 3-2-2, as we don't really see any extra TCs being captured so far by the rest of the players, so they are a bit more interested in basically fighting now, as we are looking at more champion being at just one TC still, going for the back TCs himself, as they are thinking that right now it's going to be, yeah, going for the back TC as well. Miracle Man scouting above it with the Caladria, but yeah, the front TC probably going to be captured by Green, as he is having enough villagers right now building it, and the army from the opponents is coming just a bit too late. But it's very important right now for the champion juice. Right now TC finished for Hero OP, but once the heroic age is hit, of course not going to be theirs anymore. We are still seeing at least a few boats scouting at the back and trying to fight if maybe something is hidden in there from their opponents, but in the meantime we see a whole ton of fishies from all three players, of course, of Champion Juice, and already the upgrades into Pursein. Pretty big fight right now happening in the middle, and it seems like that Hero OP, with all the population limit and of course being faster to advance onto the land, is doing a pretty good job, as we are also seeing the hero being targeted by the spy, which is not a bad idea, as of course he's going to be having a bit longer time span of his life, but still, could have been better on the Odysseus, but probably didn't want to cast on him, as he is gonna have that, even more than half that. I'm going to be checking if maybe somebody's already aiming for Heroic Age, because that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Echo upgrades, but baseline still. So far not really the case. But not really an extra TCs, or rather extra villages being also made by Hero OP, interestingly enough, from this TC at the bottom, so he probably doesn't have enough economy, but he is. I think we remember this from one game that we have streamed on Monday. More champion yet again, losing a ton of villages, and he's gonna lose even more because there is something hidden in the tower. And how many are gonna eject? One. Okay, so that's 3 citizens that look just like that, and yeah, nice economy, more champion. And you have to do a whole lot better, and he seems to be going exactly into those dudes, as luckily champion is right now paying enough attention, but of course that's not really good for him at all, as Book is advancing to Heroic Age, because of course I'm thinking of the boost from all the food that they are getting from the sea, as he's already coming for the 30C as well. More champion right now through Thea, as we are moving somewhere with the temple, and it seems to be moving into offensive. That's definitely a good idea from Wookie. And I'm looking if maybe the opponents don't have chronos. Okay, for a moment thought that they could be. They might be thinking about something like that, but they definitely aren't, because they even cannot be. How's Thomas Shelby? So we should be expecting each up in reasonably soonish time, but of course they are right now in pretty heavy defensive, as Omega X Blast is quite nicely ready for him through the water economy, and let's see how much of an effect it's going to be in on the overall gameplay. Right now, Restoration, that was basically one of the better choices to use it, because they were fighting against two opponents at once, or rather Omega X Blast was fighting against two at once, which basically meant that both Thomas Shelby and Miracle Man had to retreat. That's exactly what he needed to get some extra help from Wookie and maybe even from more. So far not much happening in here, whereas at the bottom we are seeing exactly the Raiden from Hero OP stopping the TC. Wow, just 160 hit points from being finished. And well, right now we don't see any dead citizens from teal, but we see one red and potentially something extra to be killed for blue. Probably not. And this dude is unfortunately dead. He's not really going to survive all that much, and Thomas Shelby should be hiding this guy a bit more, because of course he could be quite useful at the very back. Doesn't want to lose him all that fast. So right now he's probably going to be found out as the TC is gonna get finished, and that's a bit of a shame for him, as of course there have been a bit more scouting as added to just the Caladria at the top. I'm going to be interested if maybe Hero OP is gonna be attempting to steal the TC, as unfortunately we are seeing yet another problem with connection.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, not really good day, it seems like. Red is getting quite nicely ready, right in green's base, and at the same time purple is already attacking, of course, as that is something that you'd be expecting in the gameplay. Right now seeing not any kind of third age from Thomas, or rather from green, from Omega X Blast. It seems like that safe is going to be working just fine. Hopefully, fingers crossed still. Kind of extra ages. Gaia still interestingly enough at just 2 TCs. Not really sure why he isn't picking up the third. Could definitely use it. Raggy coming up for Hero OP, and I'm gonna check for the other players. 45 TC for Red, and Mythical Age already through Helios. So this is definitely not aiming into any kind of good game for some lads. TCs, and third still not being taken, and we are in, which means that everybody is nicely accounted for, and we're going to be continuing with the resolution of game number 2 between Samlets and their opponents, Champion Juice and Torgelis Mongoloid. So save and all are ready, of course.
No.
Right now they are going to be scouting all around, and yellow, oh man, that's a pretty decent army of Turmas. That's actually 21 of those, with one hero hidden in there, and that's going for the gold, of course, which means that Omega X Blast is right now going to be out of it, as he doesn't really have enough on it, but oh well. More Champion really thinking that he is not really in danger, but of course, from 21 Turmas, you are in danger. So that's one extra citizen, second citizen gonna die as well, and considering that he had all the time in the world to actually protect against this, exactly like Omega X Blast, that's a next level negligence from him, and he has lost in this game already like 4 citizens yet again. So he's basically continuing with the performance that we have seen against GSS. Count for count really raided him quite heavily. Those Turmas, they are a really pretty big problem, and this is very nicely played by Miracle Man, because he's positioning the Turmas in a way that those citizens, or rather the villages, cannot really retreat. So this was a very crucial shockwave to help defend from our champion. So yep, that was nicely played by him. Going for Loghouse, definitely great idea to both steal the TC and somehow protect it from himself, and going for a bit of Radiant, as there are something more to kill. Going for Market, so hoping for Mythical Age pretty soon, and there are villages to kill. Those 2 at the hand, and those 3 at the gold at the bottom, so nice idea from Blue, and let's see if it's going to be enough for him. I'm kinda slightly worried for some lads that not, because we have already seen the transport at the top, and you can see, of course, the DC is gonna get killed from water by more champion. There is going to be attempt to go back to the water, which is definitely very viable. And let's see if the water is going to be really all that in power of their opponents or not, because this is, of course, quite nicely played. So you also see Vortex right on top of the Dwarfies, which right now have a pretty long way to go into safety, as 45 DC is being researched, and no army from Blue is to be had in the middle of the map, of course. So he's not only losing economy, but potentially losing a whole lot more than just that. In the meantime, he's of course continuing with the building at the back. Right now going to be having a look at the TC maybe. Well, probably not, as they have lost the Caladria, it seems like, but he's having a pretty decent army at the back, basically keeping more champion busy. That's exactly what they need to do, as he doesn't want to allow any kind of triple at the top of his bases. In the meantime, though, he's of course in pretty deep trouble, as he's being forced to even switch villages into Ulfsarks. That is again a pretty big problem. Towers being built as some extra layer of defense, but unfortunately the architects are kinda slow to come up, but still might be enough because there are not enough military units. Yeah, this traitor is going to be just right now dying. Not really any kind of big help, and well, Hekagaigan dead as well, which means those archers are most definitely not going to be enough. So this is going to be pretty much fine in the defense for Hero OP. In the meantime, continued slaughter of more champions villages. If I see this correctly, there are actually 2 of those. And there was one more extra, but that seemed like a red one. So more lost, another 3 villages. Another 3 villages, that means about 7 already. 7 citizens lost for him, as Miracleman is absolutely destroying the opponent economy. And he's doing such a great job of that so far. With Blue right now, stopping the TC at the back, quite nicely played with Miracleman and, of course, the Carnivora. And right now trying to steal the TC, and we mustn't forget, we have the ceasefire, or sorry, Sam left. You have the ceasefire, so they definitely could be making something happen, and I'm fairly certain it's gonna be cast now. It should be. Cast it, you have ceasefire. Come on, this is a very important DC for you. Why are you actually running away? You're not facing Loki. You don't need to keep it for, I don't know, flaming weapons of your opponent. Oh, this is such a mistake. This definitely should have been ceasefire and should have been taken care of, because right now they are of course going to discover what's going to happen in here, and there's not going to be much of a counterplay by Hero OP. That's such a huge shame, as we are right now looking at Thomas Shelby using the curse and getting a few more extra piggies to his economy, and of course Omega X class losing units. But it also has to be said that he is having already heavy Hippicons, whereas his opponent is having just mediums. Mediums, but baseline of upgrades with Spirited Charge already. The Zeus is having just Copper Mail and building extra towers, and of course getting some Petrobola in, which is going to be helping him, of course. Yeah, it could be working, because of course the splash damage, of course you can see all those units getting some extra damage from the Nidhogg. It's absolutely shredding the Durmas, even though they are heroes, they are Arkai as well. Yeah, even though Nidhogg is gonna die in here, he definitely did its job and killed basically the whole army of the red player, which is exactly what he needs to do. And right now, Blue, careful, because the palace is coming up. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to stop it, or is he? With the Fire Giant. He isn't. But still, he's in a pretty great position and should be getting some extra mythical spawns from those Xerxes, so let's see if it's going to be working for him. In the meantime, it's looking like that Mor might be aiming for the TC himself, but he has right now first established a bit more of a hold with the palace. And the birdies of course are a pretty big problem, but with 5 giants up, he could be getting rid of them, and still, yep, you can see yet another fortress down, which could mean also a few villages dead. They are halfway down, and could be very taken care of. Bit of an attempt actually to go back into water seems to be working very nicely, as your OP is right now establishing a front TC that is in range, so it seems to be working very nicely for him. A lot of idols unfortunately for Vulki. Let's check for some upgrades, heavy and copper. We're going slightly better, but we're also seeing that Miracleman is switching from the full raiding into a bit more of a fun. And Artemis is coming up, and is she killing something important? I'm slightly thinking he might have miscast it. He has cast it basically on the forest, and oh well, that wasn't good. Right now we should be fast with the buildings. He actually is able to, but Miracleman should be helping with that. He should definitely be seeing it and finishing with those 2 military buildings, as that's going to be very important for his game. And if he places, or rather makes a lot of them, he could still be in a pretty good spot, because he is through Theia, right? Or not? Yes, he is through Theia, so he does have the lands for extra damage against buildings, and the double in here seems to be working very nicely. But right now Luke is joining into the fun, which means that Board Champion seems to be basically alone against Hero OP, which is not a great idea, because Hero OP is having 3 TCs, Champion just 2. Even though he's attempting desperately to take the back one, he's unsuccessful, and he's getting really his ass handed to him by Hero OP, who is playing very nicely, and his back build is seriously underestimated by Champion Juice, and they are paying for it quite dearly. Let's check some upgrades. Copper weapons. Whereas his opponents having medium Archive, medium Rumilos with just copper mail. He's definitely not in a great spot, and that could be also accounted to the fact that he has lost a ton of citizens yet again. And that's of course hurting him quite well, quite a lot. As even though we are seeing that Hero OP's yet again lost the TC on the water, there is still much fight to be had, and Blue is most definitely not going to be saying his last word about the fight in there. I'm fairly certain about it. He also should be switching from this battle, which is going exactly pretty great. X-Bass is going to be pitching it around. I was going to say it's going great for some lads, but right now they're going to be losing absolutely everything in here. As Lightning Storm is totally deadly. And yep, it's turning the battle on its head. And really, absolutely, totally turning it around, as we are seeing champion Hippigons already. With bronze mail, bronze weapons, copper shields, and all the upgrades coming up. Heavy Hippigon's baseline, so that's not really comparable. But we mustn't forget that there is a side build from Miracle Man. Quite cheekily with the palaces, and yet again, totally missed by the opponents, finishing with the third one. Luki right now noticing, but of course it's a bit too late, as Yellow is already raiding into the gold miners yet again, and making his attempts quite, how is it called, useful for his side. Of raiding, Tartaring Traitor Gate, of course, being invoked by Wookie at the bottom, killing one of the fire giants, but not really for much longer, as of course there are still going to be extras for him, and he is forcing Wookie to basically concentrate on this battle, which is very important because champion, or rather Hero OP, is right now engaging two players. Finishing with the DC, is he gonna finish? Right now stopping all the army, trying it. He should be finishing. Should be finishing just at the last moment. Oh, that's super close. You can see the hovering 100 from finishing. And he needs to get rid of course, all of those. And he's getting rid of the citizens, so he should be finishing. Because that's going to be citizen dead. The archers are definitely not going to be powerful enough. But he needs to be still a lot more careful, because this is super close. And More Champion even seems to be that he might be getting a bit lucky, but this is super close. Still about 100 hit points. He's right now killing all the guys that are actually trying to stop his attempts. And well, he seems to be halfway succeeding, but he needs to do something else because the army from More Champion is getting better. But throwing away of citizens is not a great idea. But to finish my thought, oh, that was lucky, just at the last moment. Hero OP is basically binding armies of two players at once. With 2 TCs, he's binding 5 TCs of his opponents, which basically means that in the front, Purple with Yellow should be having easier time going against their opponents. And even though Purple is alone, it means that Yellow is killing the TC of Omega X Blast in here, and he is moving forward with other army, of course, with another palace to stop the trade route and kill even more villagers of his opponent. And of course, Montara raiding, killing even extra village, extra TC, and oh man, are we gonna see a slaughter? Probably not, as he's aiming to the bottom, basically trying to protect the TC of his ally and help him, as he is still not dead at all. At all. He's doing such a great job. Such a great job against their opponents, and you can see that Omega X Plus is right now resigning, because the situation has somehow spiraled totally out of control. Totally out of control for them, even though they were in the saddle from the very start. And, well, this was so well played by some lads, actually. I can't actually believe that they have been able to turn this around. But they did, and they played so well indeed. You can see that Red was still attempting to do something about the TC, but since there wasn't any kind of significant movement, I wasn't really paying any attention to it, and for good reason, because you can see there was nothing to do in there. Miracle Man cancelling a will. Oh, that hurts. So yet another reason why actually Champion Youth should have been in a much better game than they finished with. Yep, Mega X Blast again. Exactly, that was what I was talking about a bit earlier. That basically Hero OP just by himself on 2 TCs was engaging both More Champion and Wookie. That's just huge. That's just huge for this game. And that meant that Omega X Blast couldn't really unleash his wrath because he was being doubled. From very nice side build by Miracle Man and from the front by Thomas Shelby. Hello. Very good game. Very good game, and just a bit of shame that the recorded game is actually not going to be available in full, but luckily we the live streams. Really well played. Really well played, but it's not like actually Champion Juice made some kind of crucial mistakes. They played really well. But I have to say their opponents played better. And they surprised them by the side builds and by the back build by Hero OP. That was a game-winning idea. And unfortunately, Wulky with more champion kinda underestimated the position. You need to get rid of those as soon as possible, because as long as you don't get rid of it, there is a potential that they are going to be annoying you at two places at once, and it's very hard to be fighting at two places at once, especially in defense. And it definitely didn't pay off for them. Well, you're OP, that's my MVP for this game, most definitely. Most definitely in there. Yeah, not really great efficiency. 129, 121, just 95 and 83 killed for more champion and Volky. Could have been slightly better. Was, I think, because of the Radiant at the back and losing also a lot of villages, especially more champion. He lost a lot of them. You can see more losing the villages in here, and still wasn't able to get some significant numbers up because he was still getting hammered yet again and again in villages across the timeline. Your OP wasn't really doing all that well either. This was basically the moment with the Vortex, you can see, from Red. That was a very, very dangerous moment for them. But unfortunately for Champion Juice, Wulky didn't have enough siege that fight. He was having just a whole lot of archers, both Turmas and Archive. That's not what's going to be new town centers. Well, GG. And Samlets are winning 2-0 and advancing into the semifinals of the Bad Luck Bracket. So good job on that.